Hi, everyone. This is Jason. Welcome back to the show. Joining me today is the co founder and CEO of O1 Labs, Evan Shapiro. O1 Labs is the company behind Coda Protocol, a lightweight blockchain. Evan, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, first off, and we kind of touched on it before we started. So, you caused quite a stir on social media with an article that you wrote on for CoinDesk, Bitcoin Stolen Revolution. I wanted to read a bit of it because there was one part that stood out to me that I think people that it stood out to me when you wrote it, and it said, um, first, let's look at who controls the Bitcoin blockchain. 65% of the hash rate is in one country, China. Globally, about 10 different organizations control 90% of the hash rate. The big pools are all linked together with dedicated networking connections. If I describe to you a council of 10 companies dictating the future of a product and more, and more than half are in China and beholden to a centralized government, would you call that decentralized? No, but that's the state of Bitcoin today. That's some big words. So let me ask you, what brought that on? What made you want to write that article?
Yeah, so I I guess like I was feeling like I see a lot of people that like feel that talk about Bitcoin as like the pinnacle of like crypto. It's everything we're trying to do. It's like the end all be all, and like we're doing it. It's decentralized. It's happening. And like that's like a nice vision for crypto in general. And I like totally understand people wanting to that be what happens, but like it's just not where we're at today with Bitcoin. And I think if we keep pretending that like Bitcoin is the best we can do, maybe it is, and we should like kind of strive to, be critical and analyze where we can do better. Because I would be like, I won't be surprised if Bitcoin is still like the biggest chain like 5 years from now, but 20 years from now, like I'd hope there's something else that shows up.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and to that point, I mean, we have thousands of cryptocurrencies now because people look at Bitcoin and think that there's something else that can be done. We wouldn't have had the split between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV if everyone just was satisfied with what Bitcoin does. So to your point, I mean, it's a valid point. So
people
with
are noticing this. I guess it's true. Yes.
well, I mean, well, like you know, when it comes to tribalism and crypto, when somebody points out the flaw in a particular cryptocurrency, they show up to to say
Use
something back.
yeah.
But we need to have this conversation because if we don't, then we'll never improve. And we're trying to compete with Visa and Mastercard, so we need to improve.
Yeah.
Um, so that brings me to my first question about Coda. So it was the idea behind Coda Protocol to make a truly decentralized blockchain. Was that the idea?
Yeah, it was my co-parent and I noticing that like if you scale cryptocurrency, you like lose out on decentralization. So is there a way we can get both? We can have a cryptocurrency that gets out to everyone in the world, but still is decentralized. Because that's what we really want, I think, as an
Right.
industry.
Yeah. Well, and where you point out with the in the article, 65% of the hash rate is in one country. I mean, you want it spread out into more hands because that way, if something happens over there, it doesn't affect the whole of the network. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
So with Coda, if what I found interesting about Coda was that it has a blockchain that's 22 kilobytes. Now, that's the entire blockchain, not a particular block.
It's a proof of the whole blockchain.
Okay, can you
So
explain that to me?
yeah, totally. So if you are like a node that has to like be in consensus, process transactions, you still have to hold on to all the current balances.
Hmm.
So it's still like a few hundred megabytes. I mean, that's way better than like Bitcoin, but it's like um, a few hundred megabytes.
Right.
But if you're an end user and you just need a fully decentralized proof of the chain, the proof is only 22 kilobytes.
Okay.
So like it's like do I like basically here's another way to manage it. It's like everyone needs the proof, which is really small, but like who needs everyone's balances versus just your own? If you're like a regular person, you don't need everyone's balance. You just need the proof in your own balance.
Hmm.
Versus if you're like doing consensus, you need everyone's balance.
You need everyone's balance. So that's why it takes so long to download the blockchain when you're starting up a node.
Um, so on Bitcoin, it's a little bit worse than other cryptocurrencies because you have to download not just the current balance, but all the transactions since the beginning of time.
Mm,
It's like looking at like here's like the balance of my bank account versus like here's every transaction that ever happened to my bank account. It's
okay.
like a huge explosion in like the amount of data you have to download.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, that can be a problem, especially if you have limited capacity to store that information.
yeah.
No. Which makes me okay. So my next question then is, and with Coda Protocol, since it's such a small, um, it's just the proof. You can run that on pretty much any device you want. Is that correct?
Yeah, the proof can be downloaded onto like your phone, a browser, like wherever, because it's just
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Okay. That's well, I mean, if we're talking about decentralization, there's more people with cell phones than with mining rigs. So I, I guess that will
Yeah,
a few more. So
yeah,
I think that'll help with the decentralization.
yeah.
Um, as far as well, because of that, so how do you see that affecting things like power consumption? And if we're talking about cell phones, do you think it would be a drag on battery life, for example?
No, I mean like the just amount of bandwidth you need to download the Bitcoin blockchain on a phone is like it's just not going to happen. Like you first you download it and then maybe you leave your phone on forever to keep downloading new blocks.
Right.
It's a big difference versus just downloading the little proof. It's like one is like something that we never do on our phones today. The other one is like what we already are doing all the time to go on Twitter or wherever.
Right.
Like it's like that small.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Wow. So let's talk about the Genesis token program because you today you just opened it up to a second cohort group to join. So why is the Genesis token? What is the Genesis token program, and why is it important to Coda?
So besides just like being a token program, whatever, like here's why we did it and why I think it's important. Like when I was first getting into cryptocurrency, like not that many years ago, but in crypto land many years ago, you could still as an individual like get involved. Like you could like mine a sizable number of bitcoins. You could like actually as an individual like just like show up and like suddenly you're like owning a part of this thing and you're like part of the ecosystem.
Right.
Things have kind of changed since then. Today, if you were to launch a proof of work coin, like someone immediately is going to spin up like some crazy data center somewhere with cheap electricity and just get the whole thing. Like it's not going to end up getting it out to individuals. If you launch a proof of stake coin, people are just going to use capital to try to buy up control.
Okay.
So it kind of came out of this desire of like what we think is important in this space is the number of people that actually are involved and have ownership of the chain. And we wanted to create a way for people to do that. So we made this like this Genesis program, and with like as like you kind of alluded to, it's like a way for people to participate in Coda and actually get real ownership of the chain, a sizable chunk of tokens. They can participate in consensus, and hopefully it like kind of short circuits a lot of the dynamics around proof of work and proof of stake that are making it hard for people to just like get involved in a cryptocurrency the way that they used to be able to.
Okay. So once the program is it like a contest of sorts, or is it anybody who joins gets to participate? How does that how are participants selected?
I would say it's like it's like a contest where we're trying to get everybody like as many people in as possible that like meets a minimum bar for it.
Okay.
Um, like it's framed around our test nets. So when we launch a test net, we have certain challenges on the test net, and the challenges really are just to like kind of give people a chance to like learn about the protocol and show that they understand what's going on it.
Right.
Um, and then at that point that it's a contest to like take the best of those people and give them Genesis grants to be Genesis members.
Right. And it's the mainnet launch is scheduled for Q4. Is that correct?
Yep.
So is there a solid date yet, or are we still looking at that?
There's one in my head that's like, I want to say in the 90 to 95% range, but like it's getting there. I really very excited for it. And like I think it's on track, which is like, awesome and especially in crypto world. So like, yeah.
Nice. So everyone, if you would like to know more about Coda Protocol, I'm going to put a link in the description to the website, also a link to the Decrypt article I wrote on Coda Protocol, as well as Evan's article for CoinDesk, because you should read it. It's a great conversation starter, and he hit some really good points. So be sure to check it out. So Evan, again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks.